but it's possible to still be having results. This thing is so layered. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Abisola. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I don't even know what I'm going to title this video, but it's about David and Saul, right? So we're in 1 Samuel 15 and 16, and I encourage you, if you have time, to read those two chapters. It's good stuff, really. This video was really born from a conversation I was having with my sister-in-law, right? And talking about David. And if we go to chapter 15, so 1 Samuel chapter 15 and verse 23, it says, "For rebellion is like the sin of divination, and defiance is like wickedness and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king." Now this is Samuel the prophet speaking to Saul when he was king, right? So this is Samuel telling Saul that God had rejected him as king over Israel. When you fast forward to the next chapter, chapter 16, again, the whole chapter is a good read, but we'll jump to verse 13, where it says, "So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him is David, in the presence of his brothers, and the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully on David from that day forward. Then Samuel set out and went to Ramah." So how long after David was anointed did he become king? And just a quick Google search will tell you it was 12 to 15 years when Saul anointed David to when he became king of Israel. And in that time he went back to the sheep, which is where they called him from. Like, he went back to the pastures, to the sheep, and that's the work that God gave him to do at the time. So he went from being anointed, and the Bible tells us that the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully on David from the point when Samuel anointed him. And so he went back to the sheep. And then, eventually he went to, in the same chapter, it tells us that he went to serve in Saul's cause. Saul was tormented by an evil spirit, and the instrument David was playing was helping to bring him peace. And there's so many layers, and I pray God helps me explain this the way it's in my mind. So the first angle is that David, we often focus, let me speak for myself. I often focus on the fact that, wow, David waited for, let's say, 15 years before he became king. So that means that when God anoints you for something, or when you get a prophecy about something, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen the next day, the next month, or even the next year. Like, you don't know when it's going to happen. And when we talk about waiting, there's so many examples in the Bible of people that waited to receive the prophecy, and so that's what I focus on when I think of all these things, right? But then the Lord just opened my eyes to see, going back to David's story, that they tell us in 1 Samuel 15 that God rejected Saul as king. But you know that God rejected him and he still stayed on the throne. He was still king of Israel for another 15 years after God rejected him. Isn't that wild? Like, God rejected him as king. They told him that God had rejected him as king. And for another 15 years, 12 to 15 years, Saul was still the king of Israel. Not only was he the king of Israel, Saul won battles in that time. He won battles in that time. Those that he fought in the name of the Lord, whether it was the Lord backing him up or not, he still won battles in that time after he was rejected as king. And for me, that was such a scary thought. Like, because in my head, it's like, okay, God, if you reject me, can you tell me? And like, let me know quickly that I've been rejected, and like nothing is going to work out. But it's possible to still be having results. This thing is so layered. It's possible to still, if you want to apply it to our life, it's possible that God has ended a season. He has told you, because they told Saul, he has told you that the season has ended, but because of whatever benefits you are enjoying in that season, you don't want to step away from the season. And it's possible that God has told you the season has ended, but you are still getting results in that season. So let's use a job, for example. God has told you to leave that job, right? He has told you to leave the job, but you're like, the pay is good. I love the people I work with. My commute is short. It's this, it's that. And you have not left the job, even though you know that God has told you to. It's a different thing if you're not sure, but you know that God has told you to leave the job and you stay there. It's possible to still be there in disobedience and still be enjoying favor and still be being promoted and still be churning out good work. it's possible for a season for that still to be happening. Now, in his infinite mercy, what God can do and often does is he can remove the grace, right, from that season. And so that's when you could have exited the season peacefully and whatever, and that's when they might fire you because you didn't stay, the grace is lifted, and all of a sudden things start going wrong, and like you make mistakes that you've never made before that are way beneath you, or you have friction with co-workers that were like siblings and relatives to you that you really got along with. You get where I'm going with this. So for me, that's a scary thought, because I just also always want to believe that, like, God, if you have shut a door, if you have closed the season, just make it clear. But then I guess the next prayer is give me the grace to move on and to act quickly, because it's for me, it's scary that God rejected Saul and he was still on the throne for 15 years and he still won battles in that time. Like, there are people who still supported Saul as king of Israel because he was God's anointed one before God rejected him. So, and he was still winning battles. So it's like, okay, why is he? I mean, he didn't win all the battles, but he still won a lot of battles. But anyway, that was one side of it for me. Like, okay, that is something that I guess as Christians we should remember, that just because somebody is doing exploits in the name of the Lord does not mean that they are called by God. And I don't say this for us to be skeptic and side-eyeing every Christian believer or content creator or whatever. I don't say that for that. I just say that to be aware that it's not always by the optics. Let's just put it that way. It's not always by the optics. That's why we have to be discerning ourselves and, understand the spirits behind things, regardless of what it looks like to the human eye. And only the Spirit of God can help us with that. So that's one angle of the story. The next angle of the story is the fact that, again, we talk about David waiting, right? But he wasn't waiting, doing nothing. And everything was God preparing him and positioning him to eventually be king, right? And the story is so layered, and I feel like I can do, I don't know how many videos on the story of David. In fact, I bought this devotional. Bear with me. I haven't started it yet, just for full transparency, but it's by Daily Grace Co, and it's the peaks and valleys, learning to look at Christ in life's high and lows, and it's a study on the life of David, because truly I really feel like God has been highlighting David to me, and so I was like, I need to go deeper in this. And so I will do it and let you know what I think. It's a 6-week one, so but just to show you how interested I am in this life of David. But the other thing I wanted to highlight was that everything that David went through, from before he was anointed to after he was anointed, was all preparing him for this great calling that God, for this, to be king of Israel, right? From when it was the fact that he was able to fight the lion and the bears when he was looking after the sheep long before he was anointed. That's the confidence that he had because he called on God and God helped him in that time. That's the confidence that helped him when it was time to fight Goliath, right? And then, you talk about after he was anointed in chapter 16, he went to, the evil spirit was tormenting Saul, and it was the instrument that David was playing that helped make Saul feel better, right? By the power of God, right? And then it's like, okay, the Bible doesn't tell us much about David's mental states in that time, from when, he's been anointed to be king, and they're calling him to now come and serve in the palace of the current king, to come and serve the current king. And he's there knowing that he's anointed to replace this person. But I'm pretty sure, with no proof, but I'm sure that David was not there thinking, look at this one. Now I'm going to take your spot. That is not the image that we have of David, right? That is not how they paint David's character. He truly wanted to serve Saul because he knew that as long as Saul was on that throne, like when it was time, he knew that God would remove Saul at the appointed time, and it wasn't his place to remove Saul, right? And I feel like I was reading something and I was like, I think I agree with this. And the guy was saying in the commentary that could it be, and I think it is, that God puts David there so close to Saul, right? So that he could see what it's like when you're occupying the position of king in the without God, right? When after God has rejected him, after the Spirit of God has left him, what it looks like to occupy that position, so that David would never forget that it is God that anointed him and God can replace him at any time. He would never want to be king without God being by his side, right? And because the Bible says David was a man after God's heart, and I wonder if it was that experience of seeing what it's like to have God depart from you firsthand and seeing how tormented Saul was up close. Maybe that is part of what drove David, to seek God the way he did and for God to describe him in that manner. But yeah, so I think for me, it's just a reminder that everything in our life is God preparing us for the next thing. God is intentional. God wastes nothing. I feel like I said this in a previous video, but God is intentional. God wastes nothing. Everything is preparation for the next step. And I think it's so important for us to yield to our season. You're going to get sick of me saying that because this is me saying it to myself, right? I think it's important for us to yield to our seasons, for us to, just, if there's been a prophecy over your life, if God has revealed something to you, God has shown you something, don't get weary in the waiting. Everything is preparation. Everything is character development. Like everything is God. God uses everything for His glory. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is wasted in His hands. I'm sure at the time that David was with the sheep and fighting lions and bears, I know he did not think about Goliath. Goliath was not a thing, right? So, but it's that experience. He just did that, and I can imagine that he was tending to the sheep and did a fantastic job tending to the sheep because that's where he was. And so I guess my question to you is, yes, you're waiting for the next thing. Yes, you're waiting for, this big thing that God has called you to do. But what is in front of you right now? What is in your hands? Like, what has God placed in your hands? What has He trusted you with? What is that little thing that, it seems little to the human eye, but what is that little thing that you have in your hand right now? And do that. Focus on that. Work as unto the Lord, right? Devote all you have to that, right? And ask God. We have to keep asking God to show us what He needs us to learn in each season and to mold our character to prepare us for the next season, because everything is preparing us for the next one, right? And again, it's not always possible. In fact, I believe that it's easier to connect the dots with hindsight. Like you look back and be like, oh, that makes sense. The same way we can read David's story, knowing how he ends, we can be like, wow, that is why he was fighting the lion. That is why that was happening. That is why he fought Goliath. But for us, we don't have that luxury until, after you've been through something. So I think the onus is on us as believers in whatever season we find ourselves, whether you're waiting for something and it seems like it's tiring, it's delayed, don't get weary in the waiting. As I'm talking to you, as always, I'm talking to myself as well. Don't get weary in the waiting, right? Just ask God what He wants to show you, what He's trying to teach you in this season, and just yield, knowing that nothing is wasted. Nothing. I really firmly believe that God wastes nothing. God is not a wasteful God. How can He be a wasteful God? If you examine the character of God, how can He be? No experience is wasted. Everything He's orchestrating together for the next step. I don't know what the next step is for you. I don't know what that next thing is for you. I don't know what that vision He has given you. I don't know what that calling He has given you. I don't know what that prophecy you've received over your life. But as long as it's from God, it will come to pass. It's just a matter of when. And, what I'm learning is don't even focus on the when. I know it's so hard as human beings. I know it's so hard not to focus on the when, but don't focus on the when. Just focus on the here and now, because that's all you have, right? The here and now. And just know that, just so that when the appointed time comes, when that set time comes, you have done everything in your power in Christ, right? To be prepared for the blessing that He has for us. So, and I feel like I have to clarify that, sometimes when we talk about these things, it might seem like everybody is chasing a platform or a stage, or, when you say the big thing that God has, the big thing is not, if we all have a platform, who are we going to be talking to? Like, it's not about that kind of platform. Like for me, for example, like all that God has for me could be to raise quality children. It could be to raise quality, God-fearing, godly children, spirit-filled, excellent human beings. And that's plenty. That is plenty. That is plenty. Okay, so it's not just about chasing a stage or chasing a platform. It's about what God has for you, and that thing that God has assigned your name to it, and at the appointed time, it will appointed time it would happen. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has encouraged you and challenged you as well in some other ways to figure out what it is that God is saying concerning your current season, and if you're waiting for something, to wait expectantly and patiently, knowing that if God has said it, it will come to pass at the appointed time. Thank you so much. Bye. This feels like it has been all over the place, and I think I'm going to do one more take, and then hey, it's 1 o'clock already. Jeez. Anyway.